Hi all. So today we'll be learning about respiration. Okay, so far in this chapter we have learned about what is nutrition, what is digestion, etc. And we understood that through digestion we are getting a lot of nutrients. Now let's see how these nutrients are used for respiration. Okay, so first let's see what is respiration. So what is respiration? Respiration is the process by which the food we eat, right? That is the glucose. It is transformed into glucose as I thought, is oxidized in the body to release energy. So this energy, why we need this energy? For various life processes such as movements, growth, and maintenance of our body. Right. So we have already mentioned that. So let's check that in detail. So while we are discussing about respiration, we have to learn about the type. Basically, how many types are there? There are two types. Okay. How many types are there? There are two type of respiration. Okay. So the respiration are of two types. What are the type? Aerobic and aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay. These are the two types. So we have to learn this two in detail. So let's start with the aerobic respiration. Okay. So what is aerobic respiration? So aerobic respiration occur in the presence of oxygen. With the presence of oxygen. Okay. And where does it take place? It takes place in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. So you might have learned about the animal cell, right? So the animal cell. So in the animal cell, we have something called a cytoplasm, right? So it will be occurring in the cytoplasm. Okay. And the mitochondria. What is mitochondria? The powerhouse, right? So it involves complete breakdown of glucose. So what is happening? The complete breakdown of glucose. And what is the result? Carbon dioxide and water is formed with a large amount of energy. So this is how the energy production is occurring in most of the animals. Okay. So basically from the nutrients, like we mentioned about the villi absorbing nutrients, right? The carbohydrates will be transformed, proteins will be transformed, amino acids will be formed, sugar will be formed, and all these things we have already, glucose, everything we have already mentioned, right? So this blood will circulate these nutrients into each and every cell in our body, right? Every part of our body. So in each and every cell, the energy creation is happening, right? So in a cell, there will be cytoplasm, mitochondria, etc., right? So anaerobic respiration will take place in cytoplasm and mitochondria. So if there is enough oxygen, it will be occurring in the mitochondria. And if there is no oxygen, it will occur in the cytoplasm. So we will see that in detail. Okay. And now let's take a quick check at anaerobic respiration. So if aerobic respiration is with the presence of oxygen, then anaerobic respiration will be in the absence of oxygen, right? So in the absence of oxygen, what will happen? It will occur in the cytoplasm only. Okay, it will occur in the cytoplasm only. So this is anaerobic respiration. So where does it occur? It occurs in the cytoplasm. Okay, it occurs in the cytoplasm only. And it involves the complete breakdown of glucose. And the end products will be ethyl alcohol in yeast. Okay, and lactic acid in muscles. And releases very less energy, that is 2 ATP. So you might have confused, right? Why these kind of things are occurring, how these are occurring. So let's make it a little bit more detailed. Okay. So let's explain it with the help of a diagram. Okay. I'm sharing one diagram to understand this a little easier. Okay. So now let us take a look into this flow chart. Okay. So from the food, what we get? The glucose, right? From the food, we get glucose. And then the glucose will have to breakdown first. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, each and every nutrient we have should be transformed into in smaller sizes, smaller molecules in order to use it, right? So there's a process called a glycolysis in the cytoplasm. As a result, the breakdown of glucose will happen. Okay, and the glucose will be breakdown into pyruvate form to form pyruvate. Okay, so the glucose will form pyruvate. Then what happens? These are the common step for both aerobic and anaerobic respiration till the pyruvate formation. Okay. Then we have if the oxygen are present. So in animals we are taking oxygen, right? So if the oxygen is present, we will have the aerobic respiration with the help of mitochondria. And what if there is no oxygen? It will be anaerobic respiration, mostly occurring in yeast, etc. Okay. So first let's check the aerobic respiration. So, as we mentioned, oxygen is present in the aerobic respiration, right? And where does it occur? In the mitochondria. Okay. And what is the end product? Carbon dioxide, water, and a lot of energy 38 80. Okay. So, this is a normal process. Okay. Now, let's take the anaerobic respiration. Since I have mentioned there is no oxygen, right? So, anaerobic bacteria will be there, right? Example, yeast. So, the respiration will occur in cytoplasm. Okay. And what are the end product? Carbon dioxide and the alcohol. Okay. And low energy production is there. Only 2 ATP. Here we had around 38, but here we only have 2. And in human muscles, okay, be very careful. In human muscles, we also have anaerobic respiration. How? It is occurring in the muscle cells cytoplasm. And what are the end products? Lactic acid and energy is 2. Okay. So let's see when in human body aerobic respiration is transformed into anaerobic. So just imagine a normal human being, okay, normal people. So when we are not doing anything much heavier, something like that, we'll have normal breathing rate, right? So what we'll do? We'll go for the aerobic respiration. The normal energy formation will be there. Just imagine that you are doing a lot of exercises or you are running fast or doing something hectic for a long time. Okay. As a result, what will happen? Your breathing rate will comparatively increase, right? Your air intake and exhale will be increasing per minute. Okay. So, which means the availability of oxygen in your body is reducing, right? If you are continuously running, continuously exercising, whatever you are doing, okay, something very exhausting. Okay. So at that time, what happens is that your body will run out of enough oxygen. So the body will shift to anaerobic respiration. The body will shift to anaerobic respiration. And if you're like, you might have faced this issue like while you're running so fast, while you're doing a lot of exercises, after a few minutes, you might feel some pain in your muscles, right? You might feel some muscle fatigue or pain in your muscles. This is due to the shifting of aerobic respiration to anaerobic respiration. As a result, what is happening? Lactic acid is formed. So this lactic acid will cause the muscle fatigue or pain so that you will slow down the process or you will take a break. Once you take the break, the respiration will automatically shift back into aerobic respiration. So just imagine that in animals, in human beings or animals, etc., when we are doing excess work or excess exercising or exhausting works, etc., in the muscle cell, the respiration will change into anaerobic. As a result, lactic acid is formed and we will feel the muscle fatigue or pain. So that we will slow down the process and gradually we will take some rest. Okay. So that is aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In yeast, it is always anaerobic respiration. It is occurring in the cytoplasm and CO2 plus alcohol is formed and 2 ATP is formed. So the energy is comparatively very less. Okay. So this is how the respiration is occurring. And let's compare them fast. How this respiration, both aerobic and anaerobic. So for a quick revision, it will be very helpful. Okay, so let's see the comparison. So you can use this table for comparing. Okay. So let's see the features. So, oxygen requirement for anaerobic respiration, oxygen is required. Sorry, for aerobic respiration, oxygen is required. For anaerobic respiration, oxygen not required. And where does it occur? It occurs in cytoplasm and the mitochondria because the breakdown of glucose is happening in the cytoplasm, right? To the pyruvate form. And anaerobic respiration, it occurs only in cytoplasm. And breaking down of glucose, it is completely breakdown in the aerobic and it is incomplete in the anaerobic. And what are the end products? Carbon dioxide and water in aerobic, carbon dioxide and alcohol or lactic acid in anaerobic respiration. Alcohol in yeast and lactic acid in human muscles. Okay. And what about the energy produced? High energy, that is 38 ATP. Low energy, that is 2 ATP, anaerobic respiration. So it is very easy to learn. So these are the basic things, okay? And this is the reason why we have to inhale oxygen and we are exhaling carbon dioxide that we will see in detail in the human respiration. Okay.